Don't believe it, yeah.
Hello, I'm Girl on the Bike, and this is my journey of living, loving, and learning. So hop on, hold on, and let's go for a ride.
I had a great, like I can't explain with words, awesome time at the WeWork organization Big Brands Week. It was just incredible. They really created a place that people connect with each other, and I think it was very successful. I met with a guy called Garrett, and Garrett turned out to be one of the smartest guy I ever met in my life, physically, and I feel myself very lucky. So you are very lucky, because here's the interview I made with him. So tell us, Garrett, what do you do?
So I help, I work between the emerging tech space, startups, which tend to be mostly startups, and big brands. And the big brands are the P&Gs of the world, the GEs, the companies that really need to be knowing what's going on, and now we're in the tech world, and now we're in a space where it's overwhelming. I mean, imagine you look at TechCrunch every day and you scroll down, and it's like, here's 40 things that happened in the last 15 minutes. Like, who's gonna keep up with that? The dilemma for the big brand is they don't have the resources to do that.
Exactly.
They just don't have teams devoted to it. They don't have a budget. They don't have. There are a handful of companies that really do that well. Most of them are like, we don't know what to do. It's really important that for these startups, for these companies, that they engage. I mean, most of their business and their revenue model is based on working with those companies. I mean 90%. They really don't have a business. You know, outside of Facebook, Twitter, the big social networks, people like, honestly, I can't even think of many that don't have a model that involves being engaged with big companies, right? Because that's where the money is.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's why they create the company.
Yeah. I mean, Facebook is the opposite model, which is I'm going to have so many users that people will come and spend money with me. Okay, great. But 90% of these companies, these startups, need some kind of corporate model, some way to make money, right? So here's the problem. There's a steep learning curve on both sides. The corporate world, and this is very recent, actually. This is like in the last, you're talking about the last 5 years. Really need to work with these technology companies, because why would you fall behind and not know what's going on? Your customer is adopting these technologies at a fast pace. They're already using the platforms and tools, right? And even something simple as Instagram, they're already using it in a huge, massive way.
About you.
Right. And so now, but you don't know what's going on. You haven't used it. You haven't experimented. Pinterest, blah blah blah, whatever. So, and there are many examples. So you need to know what's going on. So from a corporate perspective, but working with a small startup from a massive company standpoint, a Nike of the world, not easy. Not easy. Different culture, So they are slowly figuring out the model.
Both sides.
Both sides, and on the startup side, it's like, how do I work with that huge company? They desperately need to on both sides. So there's a way to flatten the curve, to flatten the learning curve, and that's essentially what I'm doing, right? I've learned to, how do I make it easier for those people to work together? Essentially, that's what I'm trying to do.
So
by understanding both sides.
So we can say that that's the process of you are matching the tech startups
Yeah.
with the brands.
Yeah, so the process is this. It starts with matching, which is introduction, which we call discovery, which is let me go out there and find out what is interesting for you, P&G, Nike. What's interesting? What companies, what startups might fit into your world and be interesting? So that's what we call discovery. The second thing is curation. So let me whittle that down into 6 interesting companies, because these others that we found, these 60, only 6 of them are really viable. So there's an idea of really looking deeply into the technology and seeing if this really makes sense. Does it really fit on a deeper level? And then there's testing. And testing is about, we have to test. We can't just adopt this as a big company and throw it out there to our customers. That's not what happens. We need to test and see if it works. And we need to test multiple times, many times. And then there's measuring and reporting. Like, what are we measuring? What are we looking at in the test? So that's the process. That's the methodology. Discovery, curation, testing, multiple testing, more testing, measuring and reporting. And then we go, hey, this thing's interesting. Like, let's step back and let's adopt that and let's scale that. And that's the goal.
Wow, it's a long process. So what's the business
Yeah.
model?
The brands have a budget for this.
Yeah, okay, no problem.
Yeah, the startups really don't.
Yeah, I know.
You know, if they're at a stage where they have money, they don't need this anymore. They're already working with big brands.
Yeah.
If they don't have money, they need this, right? But they don't have any money.